that we have covered, I think, because we're so passionate about learning at work, and the fact that we should be learn it all, so we should unlearn and learn and relearn, we've covered it a lot. However, we did try to get really practical this week, more about investing in your learning. So not about really why it's important to learn and the principles of learning and all that kind of stuff, more about let's get really practical. If you're up for doing a bit of learning, what can you do with some constraints in mind? So we draw our way through. So I'm going to draw some stuff today. Actually, I'm not going to draw a lot. I'm going to mine your brains a bit today, because I feel like Sarah and I gave loads of ideas on the podcast. We talked through some constraints that we are aware of: budget, time, how people like to learn. And we sort of independently shared how we would approach it. Sarah and I are super different in terms of how we like to learn. So hopefully, if anyone did listen to the podcast, that kind of came across in the ideas. Sarah is more in-depth, smaller groups. I am more, give me lots and lots and lots, make it quite quick and sharp, and then give me loads of people I can talk to and have fun with about it. Like it's different, basically. So we shared loads of those ideas. I'm going to recap a few of them as we go through. But what I wanted to do today was have a bit of like crowdsourcing amongst us, talk a little bit about maybe how we're learning today. And then I'm going to go through some of the constraints that we talked about on the podcast, and we are going to use our collective curiosity to generate even more ideas. So I feel like after today, there is no excuse not to invest in your learning, because we are all going to share some stuff with each other. All sound okay? Good, because that's what I've got planned. Right, first of all, I have a question for you, and we're going to do some anonymous voting on this. So I don't know, it doesn't really need to be anonymous. It's not that scary a question. But I wanted to get a bit of a sense of you and your learning today. Like, honestly, is it like really active and intentional? So are you like, I know what I want to learn, I make time for it, it's like on my agenda, I know this is important, and I do it regularly? Or is it a bit passive? Are you basically sort of learning on autopilot? Like, you're kind of like, I mean, I know I'm learning because my job's quite hard, so therefore I'm sort of learning as I'm going, but I'm not necessarily being intentional about how I am growing. Okay. Well, let's have a look. Oh, you look at you middle grounders. I purposely didn't put one in the middle. I was going to force you to either be active or passive. What have we got? Now, we are a very biased community. Okay? The fact that you're choosing to be here at 9 o'clock on a Thursday is a bias to this. So I would imagine the vast majority of people are more likely to be over here. Even us as a group, it looks like we are slightly more likely. I'm not going to count your hearts and stars, though I do appreciate a heart. Oh, by the way, everyone that's new and like, what are you doing on the screen? It's view options, which is at the top of your Zoom screen, and then it is annotate, and then it is stamp. And we say star, but like, it's a nice community, so they're giving us some love. We should change that. Brackets or love, your choice. Okay, so what I don't know, what do you say? Just about more passive, maybe just about more passive. But imagine that, like, that's us. That's this proactive community of like-minded learners. Like, the vast majority of people are sort of passively learning. One thing before we get into kind of your ideas that has helped me a little bit to be a bit more intentional about my learning, like, other than, I won't go into it too much, but other than grit, like, I find that like really thinking grit through helps me to stick with like my learning commitments. The other thing that helps me is a learn as you grow log. So I think part of the problem with learning is you are, even if passively you're learning, you don't sometimes recognize it because you don't take time to reflect. And so I sometimes have like a log, it's just a journal, because I journal regularly. So I call it like a learn as you grow log, and it basically just captures my learning. I might have talked about this before, but I do sort of like a, what am I learning? So what, like, what are the implications of what I'm learning? And then now what? So what am I going to do with this? And that might just be, it's going into an idea for a podcast, or I might talk to Sarah about whether we do something different about this, or I might do an experiment with it. So it's that kind of thing. But I find it just the act of like using those three things to reflect helps me just to kind of digest it a bit more. And then actually looking back at your Learn as you grow log is actually really rewarding, because you're like, oh, yes, I'm really busy, and yes, I haven't intentionally invested time, but actually I am learning, and I'm sort of learning as I go. Can you repeat what's on the left? Do you mean you can't read my writing, Reg? How unusual is that? Learn as you grow, log. Learn as you grow, log. And no, honestly, Reg, it's my writing. Don't. Sarah tells me off all the time. She says that I need to put. She doesn't tell me off. She gives me important feedback for my development / tells me off that I need to put fewer words. I need to put fewer words on a page. So look, feedback in action. The next few pictures have no words on the page. You can tell her that next time you're with Sarah. Okay, so what I want to do now is, other than take off your lovely stars and hearts and drawings, I'm going to go through each of the constraints that we talked about. And we're going to see as a community what ideas we've got. And then if we've got time at the end, it depends how quick we are, I thought we could do a bit of a sort of a learning Q&A, just in case there's a constraint that you have got that we haven't addressed yet. So we may as well all do a bit of people helping people. Definition of a network, and we are a network, everyone. Okay, so the first constraint we talked about was, I do not have enough time to learn. There's not enough time in my day. I have no spare hours in my working week. How could I possibly learn? So my idea, and then we'll go to you on this one. I tend to use tech. Actually, when time is an issue, I go to tech. And there are a couple of two main tools that I use that are sort of time efficient ways that help me keep learning. One of them is Feedly. I've mentioned it before, but I find it very, very helpful. It is a free app it curates information sources that are relevant to you. So I have like technology, leadership, marketing, stuff that I care about. And every morning I'll swipe through it and I'll be like, that's interesting. That could be an idea. Oh, that's a bit like something I read last week. And it just helps me, as somebody has said previously, to collect and connect dots. I think that was Spark Unlimited on Instagram said that to us, but that's what Feedly helps me to do. And it literally, I do like 5 minutes over breakfast. And I find it really, really helpful. And then if I want to dive deeper, I can do, but I don't have to. It sort of just sparks things. The other thing that I use other than Feedly is something called Uptime. Now, I am part of a book community on WhatsApp, a community of, I don't want to say writers, they are writers. I don't never really identify as a writer, but people who've written books. And they do not like this uptime thing. They're not a fan of it. So I'll write these down in case anybody wants them. So Feedly is the app. These are both free, by the way, as well. You can spend more money on Uptime, but I don't. What Uptime is a bit like Read It For Me or Blinkist, that kind of thing. But the reason I prefer Uptime is it's very visual. So I find that the scans and the summaries they just work better for my brain. And you like loads and loads of books that you would want to read are all on Uptime, and it's super quick. And I might do like 1 or 2 a week. And I find it. So what I do is I'll go through Uptime, scan it and be like, oh, interesting book. And then I might choose to buy it. But the authors that I'm in this WhatsApp book chat with, I think they don't see that connection. They're like, no. People don't buy the book because someone has done this free summary on Uptime. So I think authors feel like their books aren't being sold because they're being summarized in this way, and that people miss out the meaning behind the words. But I use it as a shortcut to, do I want to buy that book? So that's what I do, kind of quick bursts of curiosity. What do you do? What is your best piece of advice for this brilliant community? If you are short of time, but you want to learn, what do you do? Lucinda, let us know what podcast you listen to. I mean, maybe this could be the quiz one, but other than that, Audible on the walks. So what you do, Claire, is you sort of learning multitask. That needs a better phrase, but you learn as you kind of go literally into your day. TED Talks are nice, quick and easy. Online newspapers, podcast, RSA shorts, that's nice, Katie. Podcast, audiobooks. So Steve, you're doing it like alongside doing something else. So it's not about finding, it's sort of learning in parallel. Learn-a-lel. No, I need a better phrase. We'll get there. Schedule time. So you kind of actually, you sort of time block for learning. Housework, commuting. I need to get my kids into it. I feel like if I can get my kids to listen to a podcast while we're in the car rather than their rubbish audiobooks, then that might be a good thing. Paralearn. Katie, thank you for helping me. I do like Paralearn. I love that. Yeah, Paralearn ideas. This is good. Subject-based talks, Diary CMO, secret. You got the podcast in there. Thank you. My eldest listens to this squiggly cat. That's nice. How old is your eldest? Are we starting super early? I have to tell you about a brilliant idea that somebody messaged me last week. I don't know if any of you can help with this idea. So I went out last week, fun night. Next morning, this is why you go out and have fun, because you spark other people's ideas. The next morning, someone that I was out with, a guy called James, he texted me and said, oh, on the way home last night, I saw a picture on the tube of Mrs. Squiggle, you know, like the Mr. Men series, Little Miss Squiggle. And then he said, you should write a book for children, like Little Miss and Little Mr. whatever it's called, Squiggle. And it should be all about like how, you know, that it's good to go in different directions and that you should learn as you go, and basically start this sort of like idea of squiggly, but early, but in a sort of an age appropriate way. It's like, that is a good idea. That is a good idea. So if anybody knows the publishers or somebody that I could talk to about Little Miss and Mr. Squiggle, then yeah, let me know, because that would be a cool book. I feel like that we could start them early. Yes, that's what I'm thinking, Corinne. It's great. Learn something very different from work. Brilliant. Another book. Yeah, maybe that one might be quicker. I mean, I'm guessing 60,000 words is not the limit they look for on a Little Miss Squiggle. Okay, next one, everybody. This one is, I have absolutely no money, which is not a bad thing, or I just cannot prioritize my money on learning. There's things I want to learn, but my company won't invest in it. I haven't got the spare funds to support my learning right now, but I don't want that to stop me growing. So my advice here, the thing that I would do is I basically learn from other people. So there's a really nice Warren Buffett quote about, when someone tells me they're going to learn from experience, I tell them they should learn from someone else's experience. And this would be my go-to thing here. I'd basically say, just go and get some mentors specific to the things that I want to learn, whilst I was either saving or a lot of my learning has been funded on scholarships, loads of them. I'm applying for one at the moment actually to get some more funding for kind of learning scholarships. So like lots of it's been through that, but that takes time, and you don't want to necessarily stagnate while you create or stagnate while you wait for that stuff to happen. So what do you do? What do you do to Somebody has messaged me to say that they might have an in on the Little Miss Squiggle. Amazing. That'd be great. Okay, Corinne, kicking us off. Library books. That's a brilliant idea. That is a lovely idea. I'd love to do a little partnership with our career development libraries. That'd be a lovely thing to do. Webinars, TED Talks, curious coffee chat with somebody. Corinne, great point. It's free courses on the government's website, on the National Skills Toolkit, because we've done some work with the Department of Education and the people that put the National Skills Toolkit together. Jen, they are really good. They're like from Microsoft, FutureLearn, some from Google, really, really good range of courses. A couple on career development, and there's the ones from FutureLearn, but really would highly recommend. Maybe we'll try and put some of those resources together. I might maybe see if I can do an Instagram thing on like free resources for learning. Thank you, Sarah. Petra Kutchers with the team. Yeah, Petra Kutchers are fun, everybody. I don't know if you're familiar with Petra Kutchers, but they're like, who said that then? Sorry, my screen is going to Katie. I'm going to get this wrong, Katie. Is it like 8 slides, 20 seconds on each slide?
20 slides, 20 seconds on each slide. It's over in like 6 minutes. And there's a brilliant set of, you can do it on any topic. And the idea is that there's no text on your slide, it's all images. And then you just talk around the slide. So you can pick a topic. We did them in our team during lockdown just to kind of make sure that we were all still sane and still learning. It's just a really interesting way of giving like an overview of a conference that you've been to, or a part of your sector that you're really interested in, or like new developments and stuff, but it's just short, sharp, and then it's designed to generate questions at the end, so you have a discussion after your presentation.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we should do a pod plus Petra Kutcher. Like a little, don't you think? You're an amazing community to do this with. We could experiment with that together, like a pod plus Petra Kutcher, and then so it's 20 slides, 20 seconds, 6 minutes. So we could probably fit and then like 4 minutes of discussion or something afterwards. And interesting, everybody. Hold that thought. I mean, God, there's too many ideas today. Where do we access this? It's an app or URL. Well, it's a concept, isn't it? Really, more than anything, Petriculture. But are there some resources, Katie, that can support it? Katie,
yeah, there's like there's a website. I'll pop it in the link. I'll go and find it.
This chat, everyone, it's a good one. LinkedIn Learning is great. Sometimes it's offered on flights. Mal, I love that you are on a flight learning. That is brilliant. I just read some rubbish magazine and eat some Haribo, but I love that you are learning. I mean, I haven't been on a flight for a while, so but maybe next time I will, or I'm generally stopping my children from being too annoying. Brilliant. Okay, some lovely ideas there. Let's move on to our next one. This is a money related one, but we're kind of taking a little bit of the constraint off. So we've got two sort of amounts that we talked about on the podcast. We talked about if you had £50, like maybe that's your money or company's money. If you had £50 to spend, what would you choose to invest that £50 in? What's been a good learning return on investment for you for sort of a £50? I talked about, I mean, I quite like events because that gives me the chance to learn a thing along with other people. So events, I mean, I used to go to ones at the School of Life, which I loved because they occasionally came with wine as well as people. Like learning wine and people, it's brilliant. But the like RSA events are a really good value. Idler Academy, I really like the Idler Academy. Really random learning, like you like read about a tortoise and stuff, like nothing that you kind of go is related to your day-to-day, but that's the magazine side of it. The events are, you could obviously choose which ones you go to, and they're like really interesting people, and they're like £7 a bargain, so you can go quite far with your £7 if you've got a £50 budget. Eventbrite has some good ones. Brilliant. What else? Who's that? Idler Academy. Anna, when you say who's that, Idler Academy is the one that I quite like. You can sign up and you don't have to be a member. I'm a member of it, and you get a book like every quarter. It's a really random book. Like it's all about basically slow learning. On that front as well, I really like Tortoise. I mentioned a festival that looks really cool that Tortoise is putting on this year called the Kite Festival, and the tickets are £50 and it looks amazing. There's like music, food, learning, all kinds of stuff. People like Elizabeth Day are there. Very cool. Free sessions on, I agree with Sarah about this, small is best. It's nice. Anna, I've not come across that. Humanitics, is that how I say that? City Lit. Yeah, you take a punt. That's a nice idea, Steve. Like use it to take a punt. So maybe you actually do have a bit more money that you could choose to unlock, but you sort of use your £50 to sort of take a punt. City Lit. I haven't come across City Lit either, Elaine. What amazing. Journey Further Book Club, free, but you need to acquire the book. That's really nice. I'm not sure we mentioned it, but the Rebel Book Club as well. I can't remember how much that is. I'm not sure if that's within the £50 budget, but I have, that has definitely enabled me to read books that I wouldn't normally. The one about ghosts, what is it called? Does anyone, it's like a book about addiction, something ghosts. I would never read that book, and it is fascinating. Does anyone know which book I'm talking about? It's really good. Quite chunky. But fascinating book. Okay, let's go to £500. So this is probably, I mean, maybe this is an investment yourself, or maybe this is company budget. For people that are, I guess, fortunate enough that a company would give you a budget for your learning. Let's imagine that we're in that camp. What would you do with £500? Let's crowdsource. What course would you go on? And let's get as specific as possible. Let's get like, what course would you go on if you had £500? What would you love to do? Just on the free one. Brilliant. Thank you, Steve, adding that one. So I think my idea on the podcast on the £500 was I would invest in a coach, and at the same time I would invest in self-coaching. So because I would want to make that sustainable. And so I would do a bit of self-coaching support as well as getting a coach, because coaching is expensive. And if I've only got £500, I probably can't get that much of a coach. But I have found some of my most transformative learning and development has come from coaching conversations. Karina, formal qualification. Yeah, really good. Barefoot coaching short course. I know someone who's done that recently, Rachel, and really enjoyed it. Presentational communication course. I don't know how, I think the RADA one might be more. There's a really good RADA one on like public speaking. I think it might be more, but I know a lot of people that have done it and found it really valuable. School of Life masterclasses. Instagram Seo Training. I tell you one that I nearly signed up for. I think it was on my birthday. It's gone. Was the David he's been on our podcast. David Hyatt has some really good courses in person, not too expensive, more around writing, building your brand, sort of increasing your impact, that kind of thing. But they're sort of day-long courses in London. He presents quite a lot of them, and he's a great guy. And I would imagine the sort of people it attracts would be quite pod plussy, you know, like sort of the like-minded learner feel that we have. And they're not too expensive. I nearly did it actually, but I can't remember. I think I probably thought, oh, I know why. I was going to pick up my nan. I couldn't do it. So she would have come along because she would like it. Also, I put this post about my nan on, we did Insta Nan Live recently, and someone from Saga is one of our clients, and someone from Saga commented on it. So I'm now totally pitching my nan, my 93-year-old nan, to Saga to be like a brand ambassador for Saga. I'm not told it yet. She'll do it. 2-day residential, if possible. Avon. I've not come across the Avon plan, actually, Maria. Sarah did a course. I think she mentioned it, the Dark Angels writing course. That's less than £500. She did that one a while ago. It really helped with creative writing. Might be worth looking at if anyone has sort of writing urges in them. A kite surfing retreat. I know, that sounds amazing. That sounds really good. I've only done that once and I couldn't, this is really personal. This is very personal. I've started, so I'll finish. I couldn't do my bra up for about a week because it really pulls your muscles like under your arm. And so I couldn't, I haven't done it since then. Perhaps, Steve, that's a great idea. So actually that is something that we sort of did with Direct Line. Part of the starting point for Amazing If, actually, in terms of the work we now do with organisations, is we were working with Direct Line and they had a £500 per person budget. And what they were finding was people weren't using it. And so what they did as a department was they pooled the money that they had allocated that hadn't been used. And they basically got us in for a day to do learning with everybody. So yeah, that's happened quite a lot for us. And then that actually then gave us the confidence to kind of create a whole in-company proposition. Brilliant. Right. This is such a nice little chat, everyone. Okay, this last one, you don't want to learn alone. Maybe you're like, I've been listening to podcasts while I'm walking my dog. I've been watching TED Talks over breakfast. I'd quite like to do some learning with some people. So if you wanted to learn with other people, what would your go-to solution be? I said I'd do squiggly skill swaps. That's quite hard to say. Easier to do. So I basically put my hand up and say, one thing that I could help you learn about would be, I don't know, setting up a website or starting a side project. Does anyone want to learn that? And then you kind of bring people together for that session, virtual or in person. But the commitment is, if you come, you have to bring a skill to swap. And so then the next person in that group could volunteer and you could go join that. So if you join Skill Swap, you have to have a skill to swap. Explore Toastmasters. Jeremy Cornell-Waite, he is a lovely guy, full of curiosity and an amazing kind of visual thinker. Corinne, I know you know that. Go for a drink with, I love that, Steve. Go for a drink with certain friends. Not all of them are going to be great for learning, but I'll go with the certain ones. Who makes the cut, Steve? This is recorded. Maybe don't say that. Working out loud group. Ooh, Pauline, I like that language. What is a working out loud group? Help us to understand this. Either in chat or off mute. That sounds fascinating. A working out loud group. I like that a lot. Like digital nomad, Skillshare, what I have to offer, like-minded friends. Another shout, Toastmasters getting a lot of love, isn't it? Public speaking and cost okay. I'm very intrigued. Pauline, do let us know in chat, the working out loud group. That sounds fascinating. Okay, so we've got a couple of minutes left. I tell you what, we probably might not have time to answer it now, but what I might do is put this on Instagram later. Are there any other learning constraints that we have not covered that you would like some support with? Time? Did we not talk time? You want more help on time? I actually think on time you've got to find the why behind the work. We can't create more time. So you've either got to do things in parallel, like what was that, paralearn, someone said earlier, that's our new thing, #paralearn, or I think you have to have more reason why, so that you are kind of prioritizing it higher. Like we can't really create more time, can we? Consistency. Helping me, how do I choose? Okay, I'm going to save this. So things that we've got, other questions we might have are, I might take the time one a bit further. We might do helping you choose, like filter. There's so much to learn, not knowing what you don't know, worrying too much about the relevance. Okay, so maybe like, I might call it like a bit too closed with our curiosity. like as in it has to be connected to our day-to-day. Anything else? I'm going to look up that working out loud thing. That looks fascinating. Okay, my favorite, I can't stick with them. I want to read learning books, but they, okay, so I've got too many books, too little time. I mean, that's probably me, books. Okay, all right, what we'll do in the interest of time now, at some point today, probably at the end of the day, because I've got a lot of squiggly sessions that I'm doing today, including one in 3 minutes time, I will put something on Instagram. So if you want answers to any of those questions, and by answers, like just our perspective, I'll message Sarah as well and see what she thinks. We'll put that on Instagram and it'll stay there for the next 24 hours ago. So maybe look at that. Next week's episode is on friendship. I was really grumpy. See what you think. I don't know who's doing Pod Plus next week, but it's me or Sarah. But we're recording quite late at night. I was a bit grumpy, and it's interesting doing a podcast on friendship with one of your best friends when you're feeling a bit grumpy. Let us know what you think. So that's next week's episode. And other than that, I think we will leave it there. Thank you for this. I'm saving this chat now. Can you all save the chat? I don't know if you can, but I can. There's some brilliant ideas in here. If you can save the chat, do it, because you'll be able to get loads of different ideas from people. You can also watch this back. Well, it goes on YouTube. So we've got, oh, brilliant. So yeah, if you like the ideas, maybe save them, and you can also watch this back because it'll be on YouTube once we've edited out any random Helen bits. Anyway, everybody have a lovely day. See you all again soon. Happy Learn at Work Week. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye. Bye.